Hi, we're Bono's 6 hats, and we're going to talk to you about community engagement today. I'm white hat, so I'll talk to you about all the facts.
I'm yellow hat, and I'll talk to you about the benefits.
I'm the black hat. I'm going to talk to you about the negatives.
I'm the blue hat, and I'm here to talk about process.
I'm the red hat, and I'm talking about the feelings.
And I'm the green hat talking about creativity.
The term community is used to describe broadly defined groups of people. They can either share common values, beliefs, or even geography. These groups of people can be citizen or interest groups, universities, NGOs, and they are all classified as communities. Therefore, community engagement and public participation is actually a planned process with the specific purpose of working with identified stakeholders to address certain issues that could positively or negatively impact these communities. But what's important to remember here is that no two communities are the same, so one-size-fits-all approach is never going to work and therefore never recommended. There are three types of engagement, and they all have important conceptual differences. The first type is passive public participation where the recipients passively retain information. They don't really have any part to play in the engagement. The second kind is where public opinion is actually sought in the form of questionnaires maybe. The third, which is the most ideal form of public engagement, is where there's active participation from both parties, the communities and the people, and also the regulators involved.
Now that white hat's done, let's talk about some of the good things of community engagement. It's not just the good thing or the right thing to do. It actually has so many pragmatic benefits. For one, community engagement allows us to make better decisions. So it allows us to test our assumptions, to manage risks, and then we can formulate solutions that will actually work for a particular community.
Yeah, but not everyone does it correctly. I mean, governments, for example, they just use it as something to tick off the list. They don't actually care about what communities want or what they don't want. They've already got a decision. They just go out because they want to prove it without actually doing it properly.
Yeah, that's actually really bad, and we should really try to change the attitudes of decision makers in regards to community engagement in this sense. As we learned throughout this course, listening is really important, and we have to encourage these decision makers to actually listen to the community if they want to make decisions that will help them achieve whatever goal they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, but just like when we learned in the intensive about what it is to be a good listener, not everyone does that. So there's not always the right amount of time or energy or effort put into community engagement. So they're not actually listening to what the community has to say.
That's true, but at least right now we have a platform for engaging our community, right? It might not be the best, but we'll definitely try to improve it. Engaging the community really helps build trust between the community organizations and the government or decision makers, and this trust can really help the decision makers help them manage any potential risks that might come along in the future.
Yeah, but also there's so many things with community engagement. Even the way that the room is structured can change between people being engaged and people not being able to be engaged. So there's also the location of what time it's at, how's it being advertised, who's attending, who can attend, are the people that are facilitating it, are they very engaged with the community, and do they understand the community? It's not always the fact that happens with community engagement, because people don't understand it.
So community engagement is a really good thing to do also if we want to empower the powerless, right? So groups that are often ignored, such as minority groups, the disadvantaged groups, we can help give them a voice through community engagement if we actually want to change their lives. So by communicating and engaging with them, we can help them, take a little bit more control about their lives and their communities, especially when it comes to, letting their opinion be known about policies that will impact them. Ideally, I would say what community engagement could do for these people is to move them up a few rungs, perhaps in Arnstein's ladder of citizen power, so that to give them a voice, to make them seem more legitimate, and let people know what they want and desire and they need to make their lives better.
Yeah, but then no one likes public relations or communicators anyway. I mean, the community don't trust them. Not only that, but if you look at PRIA2, usually it only reaches involve, or else it's inform. It never reaches to empower. And then you look at the flow of communication. It's not always a two-way conversation. It's them telling you or you telling them. So really, I mean, it's so hard to understand what communities want when it's not done properly, with community engagement that isn't respected in organisations or understood. It doesn't have the right amount of time or money allocated to it, and no one trusts that the process is going to be followed correctly.
I guess that's why, you know, the minorities maybe don't participate as much, because they can feel like they're often ignored or that nothing will change in the end. However, you know, this is not a reason to not try at all. We have a good platform. People are trying to engage communities and disadvantaged groups, and we should really improve on that.
It's now time for the blue hat of process. Process is absolutely critical when undertaking any community engagement. Jacobson in 2004, derived from Habermas, talks about the whys of community engagement and how important it is that we understand why we're undertaking the process. We're not just doing community engagement for community engagement's sake. There's a reason why we're doing this. As part of the reason why, we need to understand our outcomes. What are we hoping to get out of the engagement we're doing? What answers are we seeking to find? Once we have those questions, we can talk about the how, and we can introduce our process. It's absolutely critical that the how we undertake is processed out.
Well, I'm going to talk about the feelings, the red hat of the process. And I think in planning community engagement, it's really important to consider the human aspect, right? Making sure that community engagements are, community members rather, are able and comfortable in sharing their thoughts and their ideas. And, you know, when you look at the model of democratic participation, right, you need to make sure that there's different levels of equality, different levels of participation. So whereas you can have in-person facilitation, however that might look like, you also want to have some aspect of digital participation where neither can really stand on their own, but they do complement each other very well, right? And, you know, like the Black Hat touched on, you want to make sure that you're giving people the time to participate. So whether that looks like making sure that you have engagement at a certain time of the day that goes along with the community engagement process, or you know, something that caters to different people in the community, different demographics within the community that really relates back to the project that you're talking on. And you know, looking at the setup of rooms, so if you're doing in-person facilitation, you know, you need a place that you can talk calmly with someone who might have very loud and out-voiced opinions, right? But you also kind of want to make sure that you have a place for people who are shy, who may not feel comfortable asking a question in a room full of people, or going up to an industry expert and asking them questions that need to be asked. So you need to make sure that you are engaging all people at all levels in different ways that cater to them specifically.
And I think the best way to ensure that you achieve that is by developing a process that is all-encompassing.
Okay.
So Rowe and Frewer talk about the importance of information flow and the importance of mapping that. And I think one of the best ways to do that is through a process. So when Rowe and Frewer talk about the flow of information being either one way in either direction or both ways, a part of the planning process is absolutely critical to map how that looks.
So Misha, getting your audience to actively participate in a session means you kind of need to think outside the box. You should introduce icebreakers at the start of your community meeting, or engage in role-playing games. That's a good way too. You'll make them feel more engaged, and it will lead to active listening, which is what I hope you're doing right now. And that also encourages empathy, which is crucial for project success. All right, Misha, what was that? You want real life examples? Well, there was this project in Hong Kong. They engaged in a community project with the population of a poor neighborhood, and they used performance as a tool to bring people together. There was also this project in Auckland. It was a Romeo and Juliet project. That was pretty interesting. They had the chance to explore the theme of love through developing stories based on Shakespeare's famous tragedies. And it gave the residents of the Youth Justice Facility the ability to bond over storytelling. So both projects use the creative process of drama. Yeah, exactly. drama to build a positive community engagement experience.
So today we've learned about a couple of different theories from Einstein, Habermas and Chris and Rowe.
And in conclusion, we feel that the Six Hats philosophy is the perfect one to apply to any of your community and civic engagement projects.